Second finalist is Matt Muchna from the Applied Sociology program at Northern Arizona University. Dr. Kooros Mahmoudi is Matt's major professor, and the title of his presentation is Segregation, Gentrification, and the Return of the Rio.
I grew up in the high desert of northern Arizona. Too much water is not usually the issue. However, globally, floods are the #1 cause of displacement from natural disasters every year. Contrary to popular belief in Arizona, floods aren't far from home. Statistically, the Rio de Flag and Flagstaff experiences large-scale flooding every 3 to 5 years. The threat of a 100-year and 500-year flood are looming for one of Flagstaff's at-risk communities, the South Side. I became interested in the Rio in light of recent urban renewal. I asked myself, what does socially sustainable development look like? Who benefits and who is at risk? For my master's thesis, I completed a stakeholder analysis to further understand the implications of the Rio's management. To complete my research, I critically reviewed planning documents for historical context and economic data. Through my research, I discovered that a social flood of inequality had long drowned the South Side neighborhood. In the early 1900s, the city moved the Rio de Flag. To prevent flooding in the historic downtown district, the Rio was redirected to the South Side neighborhood. Then, in 1983, FEMA declared the South Side a floodplain. This floodplain jurisdiction increased building regulations, lowered property values, and halted urban renewal for 3 decades. The floodplain jurisdiction was just one of many difficulties faced by the already segregated community. Spanish sheep herders, Asian business owners, and Latino and African American railroad and lumberyard workers call the South Side home. But there is a plan. The Army Corps of Engineers and the City of Flagstaff have proposed a $107 million Rio project, which would remove the floodplain, as well as expedite the process of gentrification, a phenomenon of affluent whites moving into traditionally low-income ethnic areas. The city has yet to receive federal funding. The South Side remains in a floodplain today. Why does this matter? In order for the Flagstaff community to achieve sustainable development that is not only economic and environmental, but also social, all stakeholders must have equal representation. My study found 3 key things. First, the City of Flag holds the most power and interest in the Rio and therefore holds the key to the entire project. Second, a lack of collaboration between stakeholders has closed possible local funding channels to remove the floodplain. And lastly, the minority voices of the Southside residents have not been heard in the Rio project. My research is important on both a local and global scale. As climate change continues to rise sea tables and increase weather severity, floods will become household to many communities. I hope that my research will enable urban planners in Flagstaff and beyond to make decisions that are socially sustainable for all voices.